And watching this was like watching a car crash on the highway when you're driving. You know, when you pass a real bad wreck and you see it and it looks bad and there's, maybe bodies everywhere and there's just chaos going on and you have to slow down to watch and you can't take your eyes off it just for that one moment. You can't help but watch just to see, like, everything you can and maybe figure out what's going to happen. That's what it felt like to watch this match. The size differential between Nia Jax and Liv Morgan is laughable.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Hey-oh, and what is up, gang? Welcome back to the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show right here on Sledgehammer TV. I am Nick Nightmare, and today was WWE's Crown Jewel Premium Live event from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and in this video, we are going to talk about everything wrong with an otherwise really, really great show put on by Triple H and company at the WWE. And we are going to start right at the beginning with the collision of the Bloodlines. The Battle of the Bloodlines was absolutely great, but right from the start, you knew there was going to be tension, there was going to be something off, because we haven't truly had a full reunification of the OG Bloodline, and you could tell that right off the bat because they did not come out together. They came out as separate entities. I thought for a minute it would be cool if Jay came out at the entranceway with Roman and Jimmy and then entered all together to Jay's Yeet theme song. I thought that would have been a real great way to start things off, but that's not the story here. The story here is the still simmering tensions between Jey Uso and Roman Reigns. Solo Sikoa's Bloodline would be victorious here. And no, not to my surprise, I feel like this is what needed to happen for this story to continue, but the drama comes for when Sami Zayn comes out to save everybody from the post-match beatdown that they were receiving from Solo and the Tongas and the Samoan Werewolf, and teases just for a moment that he might be on Solo Sikoa's side in this whole thing, but eventually goes in for a hug and turns it into a suplex. Immediately he gets jumped on by Solo's Bloodline. Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso would join the fray. Roman would join back in the fray, leaving, I believe it was Solo by himself in the ring against the 4 members of the OG Bloodline. And due to a miscommunication, Roman Reigns gets a haluva kick in the jaw from Sami Zayn. Jimmy Uso was pissed. Jey Uso trying to play the peacekeeper, knowing that it was a mistake, or at least it appeared to be a mistake. They didn't have a chance because they came into this match on everybody on a different page. And until, specifically, Roman Reigns and Jey Uso get on the same page, they're never going to overcome the threat of Solo Sikoa's Bloodline. Sami's involvement makes perfect sense in this whole thing, although it's creating turmoil at the moment because he is a part of the original Bloodline, regardless of the fact that he's not blood related. He was part of the whole original thing. But there's still one huge missing piece of this puzzle. And I think that this missing piece is going to be the key to solving all of the problems for Roman and his guys. And that is the wise man, Paul Heyman. If anybody is going to put the kibosh on all of this family bullshit and set things right, it's going to be Paul Heyman, who himself was a victim of Solo Sikoa and the Tongans and Jacob Fatu, so there's a perfect reason for him to come back and get some revenge. And by unifying a broken Roman and the OG Bloodline, There's no better way to do it. Hopefully he does it before we get to War Games and we can get some real action between these two factions going on. Hey, that rhymes. I didn't mean to do that. But that's what I'm the most looking forward to. Once both teams are fully unified and they go in there ready for war, specifically War Games, just from what we've seen here tonight, it's going to be pretty intense. And I can't wait to see it. So Solo gets the win tonight. But the war is far from over. We'll see what happens if and when the wise man comes back to make things right in that family. This was followed by the Fatal 4-Way World Tag Team Championship match for the women on this night. We had 4 teams, good teams. The champions, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. We had Damage Control. We had The Metaphor, and we had Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. I expected nothing going into this matchup. Expected absolutely nothing, and sometimes that's the best things you could do, because that's when a match can surprise you, which this one very much did. These girls put it all out there. And this match was really entertaining. It was really fun. We had a lot of really great spots, including the way this match came to its conclusion with Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill hitting the Doomsday Device on Piper Niven for the win. Jade Cargill is such an impressive specimen, and she is so insanely strong. I know we talk about how strong Bianca Belair is, but when you can hold Piper Niven up on your shoulders for a solid 15 to 20 seconds without even budging, like the girl had her up there solid, that's strength, man. That's unbelievable strength. There are dudes on that roster that would have a hard time pulling off that spot. Props to her, props to them. We said that they, in the prediction show that we put up a couple of days ago, that we assumed they were not going to move the championships away, even though I kind of want them to. And it's not that I'm tired of Bianca and Jade as a team. I just feel like it's almost kind of run its course, and maybe it's time to start, putting them against each other, because that's where the money's at. That's where the money's at. This has been fun, but Bianca doesn't really need this if you think about it, right? She's one of the longest reigning women's champions of all time. Bianca has yet to have her moment to truly shine on her own, and Jade has yet to have the moment to truly shine on her own 2 feet, and I think maybe now's the time. Now's the time, but that remains to be seen. Entertaining tag team matchup. Great job to all these girls. Very surprised at how good this actually ended up being and how much I was actually into it. After the tag team title match, we would have what would end up being my absolute favorite match of the night. Mark it down if you need to, because Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed was the best match on this show for me. There's a close second. It was tied with another match that we'll talk about later, but right now, in this review, in this moment, I know for sure that there is nothing else I enjoyed more than this match. That being said, this favorite match of the night also contains my biggest issue and the biggest thing that they probably did wrong on this whole night. And we're going to talk about it right now, because this was a fantastic match. It really had an old school feel to it. It was really giving me vibes of like Shawn Michaels versus Vader circa 1995, 1996. The classic monster versus man matchup. And they really played their roles to perfection. Seth Rollins threw everything he possibly could at Bronson Reed, and this man would not go down. Some of that stuff, I don't even know how he stayed on his feet. Bronson Reed knew his role, and he played it to absolute perfection. The best big man in the business right now, if you ask me. The way he could move is impressive. The way he performs is way beyond what anybody thinks he would be capable of doing, and he proved all of that in this matchup. Both of these men looked fantastic here. And it would end, and here's where the problem comes in, with Seth Rollins defeating Bronson Reed, and the wrong guy won this matchup. I talked about it a little bit again on the preview show. The only thing I wanted out of this matchup is the one thing out of this matchup I didn't get as a fan, and not that I should always get what I want, but it made more sense to me. If you're looking at it from a booking perspective or a promoter's perspective, Bronson Reed should have won this match. He's got all of the momentum going in here. Seth Rollins is Seth freaking Rollins. He didn't need to win this match and get his revenge on Bronson Reed right now. I respect the fact that I know that they kind of knew this going in, so they booked the ending to appropriately take a hell of a lot for Seth Rollins to beat this guy, but now was not the time to beat this guy. It's only just begun for him. And I know it might just be a blip on his record now, and he's still got his momentum, and it was a very impressive performance even in losing. He did continue to get himself over even in the loss, and credit to Seth Rollins for helping him do that as well. But I feel like it was more important to continue to build Bronson as an unstoppable force. The story here is for the good guy to want to beat the villain. And now he has already done that. So now we're moving to the villain wants revenge on the hero for beating him after he already, after he was the reason for everything in the first place by destroying Seth Rollins with 6 tsunami splashes. Like, you started this thing, and now Seth Rollins put an end to it. So going forward, everything kind of just loses a little bit of that feel. Because Seth beat him. So who cares if they fight now? If Seth came close to beating him or did everything he did tonight in that match, and then Bronson still was able to get up and beat Seth Rollins in this matchup, it becomes, what is Seth Rollins going to do to beat this man, making each and every single match more and more intriguing, more necessary to have. Now, why are we even going forward from this? What are they going to do that's going to match the peak that they've hit? It's going to match the intensity to where they got it to. It was perfect. Everything was perfect. But this was a very big misstep, in my opinion. Moving on. From here, we had the first Crown Jewel Championship match of the night, and it was for the girls. And watching this was like watching a car crash on the highway when you're driving. You know, when you pass a real bad wreck and you see it and it looks bad, and there's, maybe bodies everywhere and there's just chaos going on, and you have to slow down to watch, and you can't take your eyes off it just for that one moment. You can't help but watch just to see, like, everything you can and maybe figure out what's going to happen. That's what it felt like to watch this match. The size differential between Nia Jax and Liv Morgan is laughable. Absolutely laughable. I'm looking at this match, and it's making me think back to, King Kong Bundy versus Little Beaver. And, that's not a fat joke on Nia. That's just a realistic comparative thing to look at when we're talking about the differential in the size. Okay, that's the closest thing I could get to. That's what I felt like I was watching. Not that Nia Jax is as fat as King Kong, but that's not what we're saying. It's not what we're saying. And we're not saying Liv Morgan's a little person either. We're just saying that watching, it made it a little bit laughable at times. But going into this match, all we wanted to see was Tiffany Stratton cash in. She promised to do so on SmackDown. Everybody was expecting it to happen. But the way it all went down was just that. you kind of expected this to happen. Tiffany came out to do the cash-in initially, and Nia Jax confronted her like, what are you doing? And then Tiffany was like, no, I was going to cash it on Liv. I'm not cashing it on you, don't worry. But Nia still was like, no, get the hell out of here. And then Tiffany takes the briefcase back once again. She goes to cash it in one more time. And then she's stopped by Raquel Rodriguez. And now Judgment Day's out there, Dom is out there, and now you already know what's going to happen. And by hook and crook, Liv Morgan comes away with the win. And one of the biggest things wrong with this match is we had to hear and we had to accept the fact that Liv Morgan is now the best of the best. Whatever. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Crown Jewel Championship stuff when we talk about the main event tonight. But this whole thing was just your typical, kind of a schmoz type of way to get to a finish that otherwise wouldn't have made any sense. On what planet did anybody really pick Liv Morgan to beat Nia Jax just based off of their physical differences alone? Right? And it doesn't seem to make sense that somebody like Liv would come out on top. But when you cheat to win, sometimes, that's the story you're telling. And I guess it was fine. But, what does it really mean anyway? Right? But neither one of these girls are really the best of the best. Right? So, it doesn't really mean anything anyway. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. One of the surprising things on this night was one of the night's best matchups didn't even get started. You can't even really call it a matchup. Kevin Owens showed up wearing a Cowboy Bob Orton t-shirt to take on Cowboy Bob Orton's son, Randy Orton, which I thought was a masterstroke of mental manipulation. He's been wearing Dusty Rhodes t-shirts over the course of the last couple of weeks. He's been doing this, and I think it's fantastic. It's a great little tiny mind game. It's a great little Easter egg for most people. I thought this was great. And the deeply personal nature turned this match into an all-out brawl before the bell even sounded. Kevin Owens wasn't waiting for Randy Orton to enjoy his song any longer than he already had. Beat the snot out of him with a chair. Next thing you know, they're in the middle of the crowd. This whole thing wouldn't come to an end until Kevin Owens delivered a Macho Man Randy Savage elbow to Randy Orton through 2 tables outside in the arena in the middle of the crowd, effectively incapacitating both men in doing so. RKO and KO's feud kicks off with a bang. We've only just begun here. And this was great. This felt like real Attitude Era type booking, and it's got that really cool skirting the lines of reality / kayfabe type thing going on that really sells angles, and I just really loved everything about this. I didn't understand why they would just book the match right off. I know Randy wanted the match, and Kevin didn't want the match, and the storyline wise, it all makes sense. But I'm like, wow, they're really going to go through and have this match just like that, huh? We're not going to do much, but then, let jokes on me, because here they go. They advertised the match, they kind of gave us a match, but there still was no match at all. Again, this was great booking. This was a great idea from everybody involved in putting together this particular storyline, because that was intense, it was brutal, and it's only going to get worse from this point on, yet it hasn't even really begun yet. So what the hell is going to happen going forward? What's Cody Rhodes going to do? How is he going to get involved, if he's going to get involved? I loved this bit. I thought it was great. One of the great spots on the night. Not better than Seth versus Bronson, but pretty close. Not as close as what we're going to talk about next. The United States Championship Triple Threat matchup. Great, great, great match. My second favorite match of this night. Almost beat out Seth versus Bronson, but not quite. This was a fast-paced, highly intense matchup. Unique offense being pulled off by everybody here, and some really innovative counters and reversal sequences that you haven't seen before. And I'm not talking about that hokey, kick everybody in the face and nobody feels any, like these were legit reversals. This wasn't no-sell nonsense. And some of it was really clever and really cool and really unique. And if you didn't see the United States Championship triple threat match from Crown Jewel, you should go find some clips and watch it, because it was really great. LA Knight gets the win, pinning Carmelo Hayes. And little quick sidebar. If you're one of the few people, but if you're one of the people that watched the preview and prediction show that we put up, that I've talked about, I think 3 times on this show already, unless I edit it out in post, you will know that I let them in on a little secret, and if you missed it, I'll let you in on the secret now. I said that I'm not very big on Carmelo. Not a huge fan. Comes off to me like a default character from WWE 2K24. And like, you picked this guy to use for your career, but then you didn't even add any pizzazz to him. You didn't give him a different chain. You didn't change his name. You didn't give him cool music. You didn't give him a gimmick, a shtick, or anything. He just looks like professional wrestler A. Default number 1. And his personality, he's got that cocky, arrogant thing going on, and if you do it right, it doesn't come off as grating. But I feel like he's trying too hard. He's not being as natural as he should be, and if he just relaxes a little bit, much like I say about Damian Priest as well, if they just relax a little bit and settle down and just be a little bit more comfortable in their own skin, stop delivering your lines so much like a script and make it more natural, maybe it'll help. Maybe it'll help. But what helps more than even that is when you can wrestle your ass off. And I've been hard on Carmelo since he's come up to the main roster. And I've always said I don't really see what's so special about him. But the kid can wrestle. And this match is proof of that. Still comes off to me as he still needs a little work. Just a little bit more character work. I don't like the whole him thing. I don't get it. He just needs something, some kind of shtick, some kind of a catchphrase, something that will put him over. Because it's like it's almost there, but it's not there enough. But that's just my own personal opinion. And don't forget to let me know what you think down in the comments below. Bringing us to the main event, Gunther versus Cody Rhodes, champion versus champion, to decide who's the best of the best and who's the shit champion of the company. That's the stance I was going in with this. That's how I view this whole thing. And I still have that same frame of mind after the match. Despite the match being very good, it didn't go down in any way that I thought they were going to do it. I thought they were going to try to pull some shenanigans here or pull a schmaz ending of some sort to try to protect one of the two champions, but they had a straight up match. And this was a very different match than the rest of the matches on the card. The only thing I hate and the only thing wrong with this match is the implication that the Raw champion Gunther is less than the SmackDown WWE Undisputed Champion, Cody Rhodes. But let's just step outside and think about it for a second. Going into this match, we should have all known that Gunther didn't have a chance. Just because of the belts that they each respectively hold. Cody Rhodes' title is the title. He likes to say it. And he pinpoints that about the championship on his shoulder. It's the one with the lineage. It's the one that was on the shoulders of The Rock and Stone Cold and The Undertaker and Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan and The Ultimate Warrior and Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels and Yokozuna, and we could keep going on. That's the one that he carries. The one that Gunther carries is the one that they decided to make up when they didn't want to have anybody beat Roman for one of the two championships that he was currently holding when he had the championships of both shows. So in retrospect, when you look at it, how could they possibly let the guy with this championship that's only kind of been around for a year or two at best beat the guy with the championship that has the lineage and is the most important and most respected and most wanted championship in all of professional wrestling? I'm mad at myself for not realizing this before I even watched this match. That being said, the match itself, very traditional wrestling match, but in a completely different vibe. Much more calculated approach by Gunther. It was a more ground and pound kind of match. A lot more submission holds than we've seen in any of the matches previous on this night. Much more reminiscent of a classic championship match, and it would finish in that very way, nodding back to when Bret Hart took on Roddy Piper for the Intercontinental Championship back at WrestleMania. I believe it was 7, 8, 9, one of those. I don't know, my memory's a little shot right now. With the finish mirroring that exact match. Gunther had Cody wrapped in a sleeper hold. Cody backed him up, got him on his back, and did the rollover while holding the sleeper position long enough for the ref to count to 3. Cody Rhodes wins, and he wins because his title is the title. And it makes sense. What doesn't make sense is this whole entire thing. Okay, I watched the show, it was great. All the matches were fairly entertaining. The conclusions, all very acceptable. But I find it extremely amusing that they did all of this and they made this belt and they built up this championship and they've promoted it, and Triple H has talked about it in such glowing terms, and Cody Rhodes keeps talking about how important this Crown Jewel Championship is, and he goes through this match, one of the best matches he's had in the WWE, and he beats the Raw champion, and he makes Gunther look like the B-level champion, and they disrespect the Raw champion in this match. Cody gets to win this belt, but you don't get to keep it. You don't get to keep it. We're going to give you this cool little ring that looks like the belt because we're going to put it here. All of this was really to make a special exhibit to draw in traffic to the WWE Experience Museum in Riyadh. Those belts were for fans to come and see. Those belts were not made for champions to actually hold. Nobody else finds something wrong with that? That you made one of your champions look lesser instead of remaining equal as they should be to promote the greatness of a championship that they can't even hold because you really just wanted it to be put in a glass case so people can come see the 50,000 carat diamond belt or whatever it is. And that's just crazy to me. Was that really the point? Otherwise, why wouldn't they have the belt? Why wouldn't they hold it with them and keep it with them? This was to make an attraction. A new attraction to an already existing experience. It was a 4-hour commercial to come see this belt. when you come to Riyadh, or if you live in Riyadh or Saudi Arabia. Come look at the belt that Cody won but can't hold. Can't defend. Can't do anything with. Because it's here. Collecting dust for you to come look at. Anyway, that's the things that I found wrong with this particular premium live event. As I said throughout, this was a great show. This was really good stuff, as Triple H and company has been bringing to us lately. Really enjoyed majority of this stuff. But just because you're doing things better doesn't mean you do everything right. And that's why I'm here to continue to tell you guys everything that's wrong. Thank you for tuning in once again today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you feel I've earned your subscription. I appreciate all of you guys that have come aboard lately over this last weekend. We had a nice little influx of subscribers. Thank you for all of you newcomers to come aboard. Thank you to the OGs for staying with this OG tribal chief of this Sledgehammer Wrestling show on this Sledgehammer TV channel on the YouTube that we all love more than regular TV and movies now at this point. But we're going to talk about some of that stuff in the future going forward. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff going forward. A little hard for me to do Raw and SmackDown reviews. I'm trying to figure out the schedule to get them all up in a timely manner, but we will always be here for the premium live events that I still call pay-per-views. I don't care. We're going to be here covering all the big stuff going down in the future. Maybe throw some entertainment in there along the way whenever I have the available time to continue to do this. So we're going to continue to figure all that out, and thank you all for coming along on the journey with me. If you've missed the preview and prediction show, that'll be somewhere over here. Yeah, we'll put the preview and prediction show right here for you to click, and we'll put something else for you right there. If you enjoyed this show, you'll enjoy either one of those. I'm Nick Nightmare. Thank you for watching today, and we will see you on the next episode of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show right here on Sledgehammer TV.